Today we're going to break down one of the most confusing things men experience with women. Why some women just can't let you go, even when they claim they're not interested. You've probably seen this before. She says she doesn't want anything serious. She says she's not looking for a relationship. She acts distant, and yet she keeps texting you. She checks your social media. She pops up out of nowhere. She doesn't fully commit, but she won't fully walk away either. Welcome back to the channel where men stop guessing and start understanding the reality of female behavior. Because this isn't random, this is not some emotional accident, this is psychology. Here's the part most men struggle to accept. Women often get attached to men they don't even fully want. And it's not because you're doing anything wrong or right. It's because certain emotional triggers pull them back over and over again, even when they claim to have lost interest. Women crave attention, validation, and the emotional roller coaster that some men accidentally create. When a man knows how to control his energy, maintain his mystery, and never fully hand over his emotions, it keeps her hooked. She's curious. She wonders why she doesn't fully have you. And that curiosity becomes an obsession. In this video, I'm going to teach you exactly why women behave this way, what triggers keep them hanging on, and how you can take control of this dynamic instead of being controlled by it. Let's get into it. Number 1. Her ego craves your attention. One of the biggest reasons a woman struggles to let go, even when she says she's not interested, is because your attention feeds her ego. For many women, attention from men is more than just flattering. It's a form of validation that reinforces her sense of worth. Whether she's serious about you or not, having your attention available gives her comfort. She knows that if she wants your energy, your compliments, or your time, she can have it. That sense of control over your attention becomes addicting. The mistake most men make is thinking that if she's still talking to them, there must be some hope. They believe that any interaction means she's still interested romantically, but sometimes what she's holding on to isn't you as a person. It's the emotional boost she gets from knowing she still matters to you. When a man constantly texts, calls, or checks in, even after she's pulled back or rejected him, he's unknowingly feeding that ego. She may not want a relationship, but she enjoys knowing you're still orbiting around her. It's like having a safety net. She doesn't need to invest emotionally, but she can still enjoy the attention whenever she feels like it. Imagine you've been casually seeing a woman who suddenly starts pulling back, saying she's not ready for anything serious. You give her space, but then she starts messaging you again with small talk. Hey, how have you been? Or I saw something today that reminded me of you. She's not trying to get serious again. She just wants to make sure she hasn't lost access to your attention. Most men jump right back in, happy that she's reaching out. But all that does is reset the cycle. She gets her ego boost, you stay emotionally invested, and nothing actually changes. The key is to recognize when your attention is being used as fuel for her ego instead of building a real connection. When you pull back your attention completely, you force her to confront that empty space. Without your constant validation, she has nothing to feed on. And that's often when she starts chasing, because losing that attention threatens her sense of control. Your attention is your power. When you learn to guard it, you shift the dynamic in your favor. She can't manipulate what she doesn't have access to. Number 2. Uncertainty keeps her hooked. One of the strongest forces that keeps a woman unable to fully let go is uncertainty. When she doesn't know exactly where she stands with you, it creates a powerful psychological pull that keeps her emotionally engaged, even if she claims she's not interested. Most men think that being clear, predictable, and constantly available will make a woman feel safe and want to commit, but in reality that often backfires. The moment a woman feels like she fully understands you, that she has complete control over the situation, and that there's no mystery left, her interest can start to fade. Human nature is wired to chase what feels uncertain and slightly out of reach. Women crave emotional stimulation. When a man leaves just enough uncertainty, not by playing games but by being confidently independent, it creates space for her mind to stay active. She starts wondering what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what your intentions are. That constant questioning keeps you in her thoughts, far more than constant attention ever could. When everything feels too safe, predictable, and easily accessible, her emotional investment drops. But when there's just enough unpredictability, when she can't fully read you, it triggers her natural instinct to figure you out. That's when she starts investing emotionally without even realizing it. Many men lose this advantage because they over-communicate. They explain too much, reveal too much, and seek constant reassurance by being overly transparent. They think they're building trust, but what they're actually doing is removing all the tension that creates desire. Women stay hooked when they feel like there's still something to figure out. This doesn't mean you act cold or distant. It simply means you stay grounded, you don't over-explain, and you allow her to experience some level of emotional tension. When she has to question where she stands with you, it keeps her invested. She keeps coming back not because you're forcing her, but because her own mind won't let her fully walk away. The reality is simple. People value what they're not sure they fully have. That uncertainty keeps her thinking about you long after the conversation ends. Even if she tells herself she's not interested, the lack of complete clarity keeps pulling her back emotionally. When you maintain your own emotional independence and avoid oversharing or seeking constant reassurance, you create that uncertainty naturally, and as long as she feels that slight tension, letting you go completely becomes incredibly difficult. Number 3. Validation is her addiction. Let's get into something most men completely overlook, even though it drives so many of her actions. Validation. And not just any validation, the type that becomes an addiction. You see, on the surface it might seem like she's being friendly, or just polite, or maybe even confused about what she wants from you. But in reality, for many women, especially in today's world, validation hits the same part of the brain as a drug. It creates a temporary high. And like any addiction, once she gets used to it, she'll seek it out again and again and again. And here's what most men miss. This has nothing to do with real feelings for you. It has everything to do with how your attention makes her feel about herself. Think about her world for a second. She's bombarded with social media, curated beauty, comparison to other women, constant invisible pressure to stay desirable. And your attention, your messages, your compliments, even your simple presence in her orbit, it tells her, I still have it, I'm still wanted. That's the hit, that's the high. Now here's where it gets tricky. She might tell you she's not interested. She might even tell herself she's not interested. But the craving for that feeling doesn't go away. So what happens? She circles back. Maybe she texts randomly. Maybe she posts a story she knows you'll see. Maybe she finds an excuse to talk to you. She's feeding the addiction, keeping you close enough to keep the supply alive. And you, if you don't recognize this dynamic, you'll misinterpret it. She must still like me. She's changing her mind. This is a sign I should try harder. But that's not what's happening. She's not coming back because of you. She's coming back because of the feeling you provide her. And when you start giving it again, replying fast, showing more interest, chasing you, reinforce the cycle. That's why so many men get stuck in endless loops with women who are half in, half out. Women who won't fully commit, but won't let them go either. It's the addiction talking, not love, not attraction, not commitment. And here's what makes this even more powerful. The Stoics understood this dynamic of craving and control. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." When you give her validation too freely, you're reinforcing her own internal craving, but you're also giving away your power. You're telling yourself, "Her attention is what gives me value." You're letting her craving drive your actions instead of standing in calm control. But the Stoic man, the one who's mastered this, does the opposite. He doesn't react to her pull. He sees the pattern. He stays grounded. He values his attention. He knows that giving validation too easily not only diminishes his own worth, it fuels her addiction, which only creates more chaos and confusion. And when he steps back, when he cuts the supply, she feels it instantly. Now the craving intensifies. Now she starts chasing, not because he manipulated her, but because he simply stopped feeding the cycle. And here's what's wild. The more emotionally grounded you are, the more you value your own attention, the more powerful you become in her eyes. Because now you're not just another man giving her an ego boost. You're the rare one she can't easily control. That creates curiosity, that creates pursuit, that creates obsession. So here's the question. Have you been unknowingly feeding this addiction? Have you been giving away your attention without realizing the power it holds? If you're ready to change that, comment below. I own my attention. Because next we're going to break down how emotional control, the ability to lead your own state, is the ultimate threat to her grip on you. You won't want to miss this. Number 4. Your emotional control threatens her. This is one of those subtle dynamics that most men completely miss. But once you see it, once you understand how it works, you'll start to notice it everywhere. See, when a woman can't fully let you go, even though she says she's not interested, it's not just about validation. It's not just about feeding her ego. A huge part of it comes down to control. More specifically, the control she doesn't have when you control your emotions. Let's break this down. When a woman senses that she can affect a man emotionally, that she can spark reactions, trigger jealousy, make him chase, make him insecure, it gives her a feeling of power. She knows, I can still reach him. I can still get under his skin. I can still move him. And that power is addictive. It feeds her sense of control over the dynamic. But when a man stays grounded, when he's calm, centered, and emotionally in control, it threatens that power. Because now she can't move him. She can't shake his state. She can't get the reaction she's used to. And that's unsettling. Because here's the thing. For many women, the ability to affect a man emotionally is a form of validation in itself. It says, I still matter to him. I still have influence over him. But when you hold frame, when you don't react, when you maintain your emotional center, it sends a different message. You don't control me. I lead myself. And that message, it threatens her. Because now the dynamic has flipped. She's no longer in control of your emotions. She's the one wondering, why isn't he reacting? Why doesn't this affect him? Why do I feel unsettled? And that unsettled feeling often pulls her in deeper, not because she's falling in love, but because her ego is being challenged. You've removed her usual source of validation, her ability to move you, and now she's chasing that power back. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's exactly what's happening here. When you lead your own emotional state, when you don't give that power away, you become stronger in her eyes. You become the one she can't easily manipulate, the one she can't win with her usual tactics. And here's the deeper truth. Most men are easy to move. They're reactive. They get jealous fast. They spiral if she pulls back. They chase harder if she ignores them. And women know this. They've seen it again and again. But when you're different, when you stay emotionally controlled, it throws her off balance. She doesn't know what to do with it. And often, that's when the obsession begins, because now she wants to crack you. She wants to feel that power again. She wants to pull you out of your frame. And the more you stay calm, the more she chases. It's counterintuitive but incredibly powerful. So, how do you live this? It starts with awareness. Most men give away their emotional power without realizing it. They react too fast. They personalize everything. They chase the highs and lows of her attention. But the grounded man, the stoic man, steps back. He breathes. He observes. He chooses his actions instead of reacting. And that level of emotional leadership is rare. It's magnetic. It's threatening because it removes her control. So, are you living from that space, or are you still giving away emotional power? If you're ready to lead yourself, comment below, "I lead my emotions." And stay with me, because in the next part we'll break down how scarcity and your ability to create it flips this entire dynamic in your favor. You won't want to miss it. Number 5. The scarcity effect triggers her mind. Now let's get into one of the deepest psychological drivers behind why she can't fully let you go, even when she says she's not interested. Scarcity. This one concept triggers more obsession than you might realize. And it works at a level far below conscious thought. Let me explain. In human nature, what is abundant tends to lose value. What is scarce becomes highly desirable. We are wired this way, not just in relationships but in every part of life. When something is easily available, when we know we can have it anytime, our mind discounts it. But when something is hard to get, when access is limited, when there's uncertainty, our brain locks in. It starts craving it more. It elevates its importance. And here's where it connects to you. When you're constantly available, when you're always responding fast, when you're emotionally accessible at all times, you become abundant. And in her mind, that lowers perceived value. But when you start pulling back, when you start creating space, when you stop giving easy validation, when you move on with your life on your own terms, you become scarce. And that's when everything shifts. Because now her mind starts to trigger the scarcity effect. What if I can't reach him anymore? What if he moves on? What if I lose this access for good? And those thoughts create emotional urgency. Not because she suddenly loves you, not because she's decided you're the one, but because the scarcity effect is now running in her subconscious, and it pulls her in even when she logically tells herself not to care. You've probably seen this. The moment you stop chasing, she texts. The moment you go silent, she reaches out. The moment you start moving forward, suddenly she's curious again. That's scarcity at work. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." And when you understand this dynamic, when you realize how your availability affects her perception, you take back that power. You stop giving away your presence for free. You stop chasing. You let scarcity do the work for you. Because here's the truth. Scarcity breeds value. Abundance breeds indifference. And women, especially those with high ego drives, are more susceptible to this than you think. But here's the key, you can't fake it. You can't pretend to be scarce while secretly chasing her attention. She will sense that instantly. It has to be real. You have to actually shift your focus back to your purpose, back to your growth, back to building the life you want without hinging on her validation. And when that happens, when you genuinely become less available, you'll see the shift. She starts leaning in. She starts watching more closely. She starts chasing because now you're not easily accessible. And this works at a primal level. Human beings are wired to pursue what's retreating, what might be lost. So if you want to break her grip on you, or better yet flip the dynamic, scarcity is one of your strongest tools. But remember, you don't do this to manipulate. You do it because you value your attention. You do it because you're building your life. And that naturally makes you less available. And that energy, it's powerful, it's magnetic, and it triggers the deepest parts of her mind. So here's the question: are you living from scarcity or giving away abundance too easily? If you're ready to make that shift, comment below, "I value my attention," and stay sharp. Because next we'll dive into one of the most primal fears that pulls her in deeper, even when she swears she's done. You won't want to miss this. Number 6. She fears another woman winning you. Now, here's a trigger that runs deeper than ego, deeper than validation, and in many cases deeper than conscious thought. The fear of losing you to another woman, even when she says she's not interested, even when she tells herself she's done with you, even when she's convinced she's moved on, that fear still lingers. And it explains so much of her behavior when you start pulling away. You see, for many women, the idea of you simply moving on quietly is not a problem. But the thought of you moving on and another woman getting what she once had access to, that's a different story. That sparks competition. It triggers status drives. It creates urgency, even if she doesn't consciously understand it. And here's why. In any social dynamic, perceived status matters, and romantic relationships are no different. When a woman believes she owns emotional space in your life, even if she no longer wants it, it feeds her status internally. It says, "He still wants me. I'm still above other women in his eyes." But the moment that belief is challenged, when she senses that another woman may now hold your attention, her mind can't ignore it. It becomes about more than you. It becomes about not losing social value, not being replaced, not being seen as the one who lost. And that's why, even after saying she's not interested, she will still orbit you. Still keep tabs, still test your availability. Because the possibility of another woman stepping in feels like a threat to her standing. Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." But when a person hasn't mastered that thinking, when their worth is tied to how others see them, external shifts like seeing you move on hit hard. And here's how this usually plays out. You stop chasing, you pull back, you start living your life again with purpose. You're seen out with other people, you're not messaging, you're not checking in. And then her mind starts racing. Is he with someone else? Why am I feeling this way? Why does this bother me? And the fear of another woman winning you triggers action. You get random check-in messages. You see spikes of curiosity. She starts pulling you back into orbit, not because she wants to be with you, but because she doesn't want to be replaced. That's the key distinction. She may not want you, but she doesn't want another woman to have you either. And this is why many men get stuck in limbo. Every time they try to move on, she resurfaces, not out of love, but out of competitive fear. And if you're not aware of this dynamic, it's easy to misread the signs. She must still care. She must have changed her mind. But the truth is simpler. It's about her, not you. It's about preserving status, not rebuilding connection. So what's the solution? Embrace true abundance. Keep moving forward. Don't get pulled into her need for competition. Don't react to her attempts to re-establish control. The grounded, purpose-driven man sees this pattern and doesn't bite. He stays focused on building the life he wants. And in doing so, he becomes even more magnetic to her and to others. Because when a man truly moves on, not from spite, but from centered strength, that's when he flips the entire dynamic. And yes, that's when her fear spikes the hardest. So are you holding frame, or are you still giving her space to play that game? If you're ready to stay the course, comment below, I move forward. So keep this in mind. What's coming next will reveal something most men never see, yet it explains why she truly holds on. Stay with me. Number 7. She wants power, not closure. Let's get real about something most men completely misunderstand. And this is the very reason they stay stuck in the loop for months, sometimes years. She doesn't want closure, she wants power. It sounds harsh, but it's the truth. Because if closure were really the goal, the situation would be simple. She would say what needed to be said, and then walk away clean. No mixed messages, no random texts, no accidental stories that you know were posted for your eyes. No vague comments about thinking of you just when you were starting to move on. But that's not what happens, is it? In reality, it looks more like this. She tells you she's done, but still checks in. She says she's moved on, but still watches your stories. She starts dating someone else, but suddenly sends you hope you're well messages out of nowhere. She disappears for weeks, then resurfaces just when you've stopped thinking about her. Sound familiar? That's because power, not closure, is what she's seeking. You see, as long as you are still mentally attached, as long as part of you still craves answers, as long as you're still wondering, what if she holds emotional leverage over you? And for many women, that's far more valuable than true closure, because closure means giving up that power. It means admitting the game is over, that she no longer has influence over your emotional state. And here's the deeper layer. Women, even unconsciously, are wired to test emotional power dynamics, not out of malice, not out of cruelty, but because on a primal level, social and emotional standing matters. If she can still trigger a reaction from you, if she can still get in your head that reaffirms her status, it says, I'm still on his mind, I still matter, I still have control. And that feeling can be addictive. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." And what's happening here? You've handed over part of that power by staying attached to closure that will never come. You see, most men assume closure is some neat conversation where both people feel good and move on. But in reality, for women in this dynamic, closure removes their leverage, and many will avoid it at all costs. That's why the games continue. That's why the "I just want to be friends" invitations show up, even though they know you want more. That's why the attention hooks keep coming just when you've started to detach. And if you fall for this, if you believe every little message is genuine reconnection, if you jump to reply, hoping this is the one where it finally resolves, you stay trapped. Now here's a real example. One of my coaching clients had this exact pattern for over a year. She said it was done, but every few weeks she'd send an emoji reaction or ask, "How's your mom doing?" or comment on an old photo. Every time his mind spiraled, "Does she still want me? Is this a sign?" And the second he engaged, she'd pull back, rinse and repeat, until he stopped needing closure. He finally applied true Stoic mindset. Detach from outcome. Focus on inner control. Stop expecting her to give peace, create your own. He didn't react. He stopped checking her socials. He stopped responding to the little hooks. And what happened? Her texts escalated. More attention-seeking, more urgency, because her power was slipping. And in that moment he saw it clearly. It was never about closure, it was always about control. When you live this, everything shifts. You reclaim your mind. You regain focus. You lead yourself not based on her attention, but on your purpose. And ironically, that's when her obsession usually begins, because now she's lost the one thing she valued most: influence. So ask yourself, are you still stuck seeking closure, or are you ready to reclaim your power? If you are, comment below, "I choose my peace." Because up next, we'll go even deeper into why this dynamic works so powerfully and how your new mindset will completely shift the game. Number 8. Why her attention spikes when you pull away. It happens almost like clockwork. You start stepping back. You stop responding so quickly. You stop checking her socials. You're going out building your life focused on what matters. And then bam, her attention suddenly spikes. A message, a like, a random reaction to your story, or maybe something subtler. She asks your mutual friends about you, or finds ways to bump into your world. Why? Because the very act of pulling away triggers a shift in her mind, and it's far more powerful than most men realize. You see, when you're constantly available, when you're responding fast, showing interest, orbiting her life, your presence fades into the background. It's expected, it becomes normal, and what is normal, it's taken for granted. But the moment you step back, the moment she senses your attention withdrawing, it disrupts her expectations. It creates a gap, and that gap doesn't go unnoticed. It pulls at her curiosity. It makes her wonder, why isn't he chasing anymore? Did he lose interest? Is he seeing someone else? Was I wrong about his feelings? The mind doesn't like unanswered questions. It seeks resolution. And this is where the Stoic understanding of human nature becomes so valuable. Marcus Aurelius taught, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. The same applies here. When you pull away, she is no longer reacting to you. She's reacting to the story she's now telling herself about what that means. And in many cases, that story becomes a trigger. Now add in what we've covered already. The scarcity effect kicks in. You're no longer abundant. Her fear of another woman winning you starts simmering. Her need for control, if she can't feel she still has, you, begins to surface. And all of this combines to spike her attention right when you seem to care less. It's not magic, it's psychology. And it plays out again and again, especially when you shift your energy authentically. That's key. This only works when your pullback is real. If you're pretending to pull away while still obsessing, still chasing in subtle ways, she'll sense it, and it won't trigger the same response. But when you truly detach, not from bitterness, not from game playing, but because you've reclaimed your peace, her mind will feel the shift. And this is when the dynamic changes. Instead of you chasing her, now she starts chasing the missing attention. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. When you were constantly available, you fed her ego, her sense of power, her emotional needs. When that supply dries up, it leaves a vacuum. And nature abhors a vacuum. She feels the absence and it bothers her. And very often, that's when the breadcrumbs begin. A message, a subtle "hey stranger," a sudden curiosity about your life. Not because her feelings have changed, not because she's fallen in love, but because her mind is seeking resolution. And the more grounded you stay, the more you stay focused on purpose rather than reaction, the more her attention builds. Because now, you're no longer predictable, you're no longer easy to read. And the human mind can't resist what it can't fully understand. So the next time you notice her attention spiking as you pull away, remember, it's not about you. It's about the gap your absence created. And your job, stay calm, stay centered. Don't rush to fill the gap. Let it do its work. Because a man who moves with purpose, who lives from inner control, will always trigger deeper curiosity when he steps back. So, are you ready to shift the dynamic for good? If you are, comment below, "I move with purpose." And here's the thing, there's one final piece to this puzzle, a mindset that takes everything we've talked about to the next level. And we're getting into that next. Number 9. The silent power of indifference. Now we're getting to the core of everything we've talked about, the one quality that separates men who stay trapped from men who completely flip the dynamic indifference. But not the kind of fake indifference you see in dating advice circles, the pretend you don't care routine. I'm talking about something deeper, something real. An earned, silent indifference that radiates from a man who truly no longer needs external approval. That kind of indifference is magnetic, it's rare, and it holds immense power. You see, women can sense when a man is still attached, even if he says he's moved on, even if he ignores a few texts, even if he tries to play it cool. If inside he's still emotionally caught up, still looking at her profile, still wondering, does she miss me? She feels it. And that tells her, I still have influence here. And as long as that influence exists, she remains in control. But when a man reaches a point of genuine indifference, when his world no longer revolves around her attention, her validation, or her choices, something profound happens. She loses her grip. It's unsettling to her because now the emotional leverage is gone. Now she's no longer the center of his thoughts. Now he moves on with his life. For himself, not for a reaction. And that shift, it's powerful. Suddenly, she's the one noticing the absence. She's the one wondering why he's unaffected. She's the one thinking, why doesn't this bother him? Why isn't he chasing anymore? Has he outgrown me? And that curiosity, that uncertainty, triggers deeper levels of attraction than any forced strategy ever could. This is where the Stoic philosophy becomes invaluable. Marcus Aurelius taught, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When your inner world is rooted in calm purpose, not in reactive emotion, that colors everything about your presence. And it's in that state, when your thoughts are no longer fixated on her, that true indifference emerges. You don't need to act. You don't need to send a message. You don't need to block post quotes or play games. Your very energy speaks for you. You've stopped caring, not from bitterness, but from peace. Not from anger, but from clarity. Not from revenge, but from freedom. And this is when the dynamic flips. She begins to chase, not the old version of you, but the grounded presence you've become. Because here's what few understand: indifference is not passive. It's active strength. It means you've taken back your focus. You've rebuilt your frame. You're leading your own life on your own terms. And in a world where most men crumble under emotional pressure, a man who embodies this silent power becomes rare and incredibly attractive. But here's the challenge. You can't fake this. You have to earn it. It comes through doing the inner work, through embracing purpose, through moving forward, through choosing to lead yourself every single day. And the result? Not only do you regain control of the dynamic, you regain control of your own life. And no one can take that from you. So, are you ready to step into this space? If you are, comment below, I choose indifference. Because up next, we'll take this even further, and I'll show you exactly how to build the man she can't forget. Stay sharp. Number 10. How walking away triggers her deepest desire. There's something most men never fully understand, but once you do, it changes the way you handle every relationship dynamic from this point forward. Nothing triggers her deeper desire than when you genuinely walk away. Not playing hard to get, not pretending to ignore her, not waiting and hoping she reaches out first. I'm talking about truly walking away from a place of strength and purpose without bitterness, without needing anything from her. Because here's what happens on a psychological level. The moment she senses that your attention, your emotions, your investment is no longer circling around her, it disrupts her entire frame of reference. Think about it. As long as you're still available, still reacting, still orbiting, even subtly, she feels safe. She knows her place in your mind. She may not want you romantically, but she knows. I still have his attention. I still matter to him. I can pull him back if I want. And that sense of control keeps her secure, even if she's with someone else, even if she says she's moved on. But the moment you truly walk away, when you start living a life fully independent of her influence, that security vanishes. Now uncertainty creeps in. And uncertainty is powerful. It forces her to reevaluate, why isn't he chasing anymore? What changed in him? Did he stop wanting me, or did he grow beyond me? That last question, that one strikes deep. Because when a man grows, when he becomes stronger, more self-led, more indifferent, it hits a core part of female psychology, the fear of being replaced by a better version of herself in his eyes. And this is where her deepest desire gets triggered, not for the old dynamic, not for the man who used to orbit her, but for the man who now walks forward with or without her. Because here's what you must remember. When you're chasing, you're not leading. When you're waiting for her closure, you're not moving forward. When you're stuck in the old loop, you're predictable. But when you walk away, not from weakness, but from genuine peace, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability sparks attraction. It creates curiosity. It forces her to imagine scenarios where she no longer holds the same space in your life. That's why walking away, when done right, is not an act of giving up. It's a reclaiming of power. It says, I lead my life. I choose my path. I do not wait for permission. And when you embody that energy with no need to prove anything, she feels it. It's in how you move, how you speak, how you show up, or more accurately, how you don't show up where you used to. It's silent, but unmistakable. And this is where her mind starts spinning. Has he moved on? Who is he becoming? Why do I suddenly care so much? The more you stay detached, the more this dynamic grows. Because here's the truth. The deepest part of female desire is not triggered by what you do for her. It's triggered by the kind of man you are, especially when you no longer need her. When you walk away, you force her to see you differently. You're no longer the safe option. You're no longer the backup plan. You're now a man in motion, and that motion creates magnetism. But here's the key. It must be genuine. You can't fake walking away. You can't secretly hope she'll chase. You can't check in through mutual friends. True walking away happens when you no longer need her to validate your worth. And that is what triggers her deepest desire. Not the old dynamic, not the past version of you, but the man you've become and the man you're still becoming. And whether she acts on that desire or not is irrelevant. Because you're no longer tied to the outcome. You're walking your path, and that more than anything else is what makes you truly attractive. And remember, understanding these dynamics isn't about playing games. It's about mastering yourself so that no one else controls your mind, your emotions, or your path. If you found value in today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you want to go even deeper, join the Stoic Brotherhood. Inside, we break these principles down in ways that transform how you show up in life and in relationships. Thank you for watching. Stay sharp, and I'll see you right here again tomorrow.